My sister shamed me at dinner. My parents mocked me as wine drenched my uniform. Then her ranger fiancé noticed my coin and said, "Nof. This ends now." You ever wonder what it feels like to be completely erased by the people who should love you most? To be both their punchline and their ATM until one day, something snaps, and you decide you're done playing the invisible man. The sterile hum of the server room was a constant in my life, a stark contrast to the chaotic silence at home. For years, my family treated me like an extra in my own story, useful when they needed a quick fix, a convenient joke when they didn't. I, Leo Hayes, a staff sergeant in the Army, 11 years deep in signals intelligence, stationed at Fort Meade, had just accepted it. Until they went too far, and the quiet explosion of my self-respect rocked my entire world. My parents, Brenda and Richard, never really bothered to ask what signals intelligence within a CF actually meant. My sister, Chloe, just assumed it was some boring desk job and made it her go-to punchline. "Leo's too busy filing papers to help us move." Or, "Don't ask Leo about work. He gets weird about it." My parents would just nod along, sometimes even chuckle. Richard would clap my shoulder. "Someone's got to push papers, right?" I let it slide. Operational security, you don't correct misconceptions when your job is literally about not being noticed. But Chloe wasn't content with just quiet digs. She needed an audience. And that audience arrived when she got engaged to Mark, a decorated combat veteran from the 75th Ranger Regiment. Suddenly, my uniform, my service, became part of the entertainment. He was everything Chloe wanted: a visible, combat, hardened hero who wore his brown beret to civilian functions and shared deployment stories at parties. I should have seen it coming. The invitation to her engagement party in early March felt like a trap. I'd just finished a grueling 52-hour stint tracking a network in Syria, utterly drained. But Chloe insisted. It would mean so much. I showed up in jeans and a grey hoodie, exhausted, wired on too much coffee. The apartment was packed with Mark's Ranger buddies, fresh off rotation, loud with beer and war stories. Chloe spotted me immediately. "There he is! Leo, my big brother, the government employee!" One of Mark's mates, built like a tank with tattoos crawling up his forearms, grinned at me. "What do you do, man? Intel analysis? You like spy stuff?" Chloe cut in before I could even open my mouth. "More like Excel spreadsheets." Leo just stares at computers, files, reports. "Very thrilling." The guys laughed. "Not mean, just dismissive," Mark chimed in. "Hey, no shame. We need support staff, right? Someone's got to process the papers." I just muttered, "Right," and found a quiet corner. I stayed for an hour, nursing a warm beer, watching a game no one cared about. Chloe kept the snide remarks coming. Leo's too tired from typing. Don't bore them with work talk. On my way out, Mark followed me. "Hey, don't take her jokes personally. Sisters, she talks about you all the time." He paused, his gaze assessing. "So, you really do intel work, like actual intel?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Where are they?" He nodded as if he understood, but his eyes held that familiar doubt. He thought I was exaggerating. 4 weeks later, Richard called. The family car, transmission shot, needed fourth at 200. I wired it that night. 17 days later, Chloe's Instagram flash bust my feed. "Hi, in DC restaurant, champagne, caviar, when your man pampers you." The caption gushed. I called Richard. He'd given Cleedle $750 of my money for Mark's birthday. My jaw locked. I was sitting in my car at Fort Meade, phone still in hand, when my security manager called. "Emerging situation, East Africa. Need you in the op center." The engagement announcement came in late April. Chloe called at 11 p. on a Tuesday. I just stumbled out of the SIF after an 18-hour shift. My phone was a blinking monument to her frustration at 21 missed calls. I called her back, my voice thick with exhaustion. "You couldn't even respond," she shrieked. "Leo, I'm engaged. This is the most important moment of my life, and you neglected me." "I was working," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "You're always working, or you claim to be." Mark's voice cut in, taking the phone. "Real military makes time for family. If you actually cared, you'd pick up." My hand tightened around the steering wheel. "Tell Mark about genuine operational security, Chloe." "Oh my God, stop! You work in an office! Stop pretending to be special forces!" She spat. I didn't respond. "Whatever. Mark and I are hosting an engagement celebration on May 24th. You're paying for it. You owe me, Leo. I used to cover for you growing up, make you look good. Now you're going to be too serious to enjoy my joy." "I didn't say that." "Then you pay? Ruth's Chris, private room?" "I'll send you the details." She hung up. I called back. She answered immediately. "Change your mind. I'll attend the party. But I'm not paying for it." Silence. "What? I am not paying." "Ruth's Chris costs money." "Are you serious? After everything?" She screeched. Yes, I said, my voice dead calm. I'm leaving, so don't bother trying to call me back. I hung up. She called. I didn't respond. She texted. I blocked her number for 24 hours. The next morning, Richard called. I let it go to voicemail, a long message about family and responsibility, about how selfish I was being on Chloe's special occasion. I deleted it without listening all the way through. Then, I returned to work. That's when I met Sophia. The ER at Baltimore General was a whirlwind on a Wednesday night. I was there because I'd stupidly cut my hand open on a filing cabinet drawer, deep enough for sutures. The nurse who led me back, dark hair pulled into a neat bun, had eyes that pierced right through you, and a calm that suggested she'd seen horrors I could only imagine. Her name tag read Sophia. Filing cabinet, huh? She asked, scrutinizing the gash. Yeah, rough day at the office. She prepped the needle. This will sting? It did. I didn't flinch. She looked up, a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. How'd you know? Posture. Most people recoil when I say sting. You didn't blink. 11 years in the army. She nodded. 4 years in the ER teaches you to read people. She stitched with smooth, precise movements. So, what's a military guy doing with filing cabinets? Can't really talk about it. Classified. Something like that. She finished the last suture, a wry smile playing on her lips. Try to keep the classified filing cabinets from attacking you. I almost smiled back. I'll do my best. She gave me care instructions. 12 days, come back for removal. Ask for me. I did. She removed the stitches, and we talked. Nothing deep, just easy conversation. She was the first person in years who didn't press for answers I couldn't give. I asked her if she wanted coffee. She said yes. It was 5 months before Chloe's engagement celebration. By May, Sophia and I had been dating for over 4 months, mostly long distance. I was home and traveling for work. She was in Baltimore, doing impossible ER shifts. We'd meet in the middle when our schedules aligned. Sophia was direct, avoided drama and games. It was simple, refreshing. One night in early May, I was on the phone, venting about Chloe's latest demands. Let's get this straight, Sophia said, her voice clear. Your sister asked you to pay $400 for her celebration. You said no. What happened next? She lost it. Richard left a voicemail about family obligations. Brenda texted me an essay about how I was destroying Chloe's special occasion. There was a long silence. Then Sophia asked, what are you getting for your money? Peace. Or permission to be disrespected? I stopped pacing? What? You heard me. If you reward poor behavior, it doesn't stop. It multiplies. I didn't have an answer. Leo? She spoke softly. I work in trauma. I know the difference between someone who's been hurt once and someone who keeps walking into the same fire. 17 days later, the engagement party invitation arrived. Chloe listed me as attending, but no, +1. I emailed her. I'm bringing Sophia? She replied, no, family only, Mark's team only, no random girlfriends. Sophia read the text. Insulting someone you treat like an ATM is bold. She commented, handing me my phone. I texted Chloe back. It wasn't a request. She's coming. Chloe called. I ignored it. She texted, Sophia threatened to have a meltdown if you come with me. I replied, good. Boundaries concern those who don't have any again. I blocked her number again. The week of the party, a Target package I'd spent months on was finally complete. Clean. No civilian casualties. I was called into Chief Warrant Officer Schmidt's office. Staff Sergeant Hayes, she said, her tone formal. Not Leo, not Hayes. Full rank. My stomach tightened. Yes, ma'am. The task force commander extends his congratulations. The package saved lives. Thank you, ma'am. She studied me. You look hammered, Hayes. When was your last real sleep? A few hours yesterday. Before that, maybe 4 hours a week ago. You have 76 unused days of leave. Use them. I have a family event this weekend. I'll rest after that. Does your family understand what you do? No, ma'am. That must be hard. It's okay, no. She said, it's not okay, but I can still order you to leave. Your leave starts Monday for 12 days. That's an order. The party was Saturday night. I donned my dress uniform, the army blues. Chloe had argued Mark thought it was cool. Sophia wore a modest black dress, as calm as ever. At Ruth's Chris, the hostess checked her list. Hayes party, you're down for 1. Make it 2, I said. She paused. I did not. Before she could finish, I asked the organizer, if there's a card on file under my name, remove it. Remove it, I urged, my voice low, or I speak with the management. Her eyes widened slightly. She removed it. The private room was white and gold, about 30 attendees. Chloe stiffened when she saw Sophia and me. Before she could speak, Mark put a hand on her arm. There were 2 vacant chairs jammed into a far corner. I ignored them, dragged 2 chairs to the center of the room, and sat down. Sophia sat beside me. Brenda stared. Chloe looked like she was sipping battery acid. Dinner began. Wine flowed. Conversation buzzed. Around 7:45, Chloe and Mark started whispering. She kept gesturing towards me. He kept shaking his head. Eventually, he approached. "Can we chat outside?" he asked quietly. In the corridor, he wasn't the boisterous guy from the party. "Chloe's been making jokes about you since we started dating," he admitted. I went along with it. Thought it was harmless. He paused, avoiding my gaze. "But last week, she told me about her plans for tonight. This huge toast where she calls me a warrior and really implies you push paper and disgrace yourself in front of everyone." "Why tell me?" "Because I noticed you've never defended yourself, which suggests you're either a doormat or someone who doesn't need to prove anything and won't." "You're not a doormat." He met my eyes. "How did she react when you urged her to stop?" "She claimed I was being dramatic, that you don't mind." He paused. "Do you mind?" "Yes, Mark, I do." "Then I'll shut it down. And if she goes ahead anyway, we're leaving. I'm not marrying someone who treats others like that." We headed back in. Around 8:50 p.m., Chloe stood, wine glass in hand. The room fell silent. "Thank you all for coming," she chirped. "This year has been amazing. I met Mark, my soulmate and hero. You're everything I ever wanted," Mark murmured, his jaw tight. "And I'd like to thank my family," Chloe continued, her voice saccharine, "especially my older brother, Leo, who was able to take time away from his crucial office work to be here." Polite laughter. "I know it must be difficult for Leo," she said, glancing at me with a smirk, seeing Mark in uniform and learning what true military service is like. "But I appreciate him showing up, even if he spends his days filing reports." "And Mark?" "Chloe." Mark's voice cracked like a whip. He stood, eyes blazing. "Stop." "What?" She blinked, genuinely surprised. "You are disrespecting your brother in public while wearing his uniform." "It's only a joke." "He doesn't care." "Right, Leo." Everyone turned to me. I stood, looked at her, then at Brenda and Richard. "Stop," I said, my voice low and quiet. The room fell utterly silent. "We are leaving." I turned towards the door. "Leo, you can't just—" Chloe's voice rose, shrill. "Leo, stop being dramatic." Brenda stood up. "She's simply teasing." I kept walking. Chloe held the wine. The glass sailed past Mark. He'd moved between us. She surged sideways, trying to hit me directly. The deep red wine hit me squarely across the chest, cold, shocking, blooming across the pristine white of my army blues. The restaurant went utterly silent. Mark spun on Chloe. "Are you out of your mind?" "He was leaving," she shrieked. "On my special night? After everything, what have you had?" "He humiliated me." "Someone mocked him." "Has someone stolen his money?" Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Mark stared at me, then his gaze dropped to my chest, where the wine soaked through and dripped onto the floor. As I shifted, my jacket pulled open. Something weighty slid from an inner pocket, then dropped. Metal clinked on the tile. A coin rolled once and landed near Mark's shoe. Mark's face transformed. In about 2 seconds, all the color drained from it. "Oh no," he muttered. "Oh no, no," Chloe snapped. "What are you?" Mark didn't look at her. He was staring at the coin near his boot as if it were a live round. "Is that it?" He started, paused, then restarted, his voice barely a whisper. "Where did you get it?" I did not confirm, did not deny, just stood there, wine-soaked. Mark's hands began to shake. "How long?" I replied gently. "I can't talk about it." "Jesus Christ," he said, sitting down hard. His entire team was staring now. A couple of them, the loud ones, had gone utterly still. Recognition dawned in their eyes. One of Mark's buddies, the large guy from the party, leaned forward. "Wait, is that—" "Shut up, Briggs," Mark said, not irritated but quiet, almost imploring. He looked up at me, then at Chloe, and finally back at me. "I've seen that coin," he muttered, scarcely moving his lips. His gaze flickered around the room as if checking to see who could hear. "Where did you acquire this?" I did not respond. "Holy hell," one of his teammates whispered. Mark stood upright, his entire body tense. Then he did something that made Brenda gasp. He stood motionless, spine straight, his voice slipping into something formal, sharp. "Staff Sergeant Hayes, I owe you an apology." "Not here," he said, then dropped his hand and stared at Chloe. "We're done." "What?" "The engagement is off." "We're finished?" Chloe's face turned white. "It's only Leo. He's a nobody. He always has been." "He is not a nobody." Mark's voice was rough now, loaded with a fury I hadn't heard before. "Yes, you are. You made me disrespect a man who has accomplished more in a single shift than I will in my whole career. You made me insult someone who saves lives that I will never know about. You ridiculed him, took his money, and just assaulted him in public." "I did not assault." "You hurled wine at a service member in uniform. That is assault, and I'm not marrying someone who treats others like that." He turned to face his teammates. "We are leaving." They stood, all of them. They left silently, professionally, cautiously. When an authority figure issues an order, soldiers move accordingly. Mark hesitated at the door, looked back at me. Thank you for your service. Real service. Then he was gone. The room exploded. Chloe sobbed. Brenda shouted. Richard tried to calm everyone down. Chloe's friends started pulling out their phones. Brenda grabbed my arm. Leo, please wait. You cannot just leave. We need to remedy this. No, we do not. Chloe is devastated. Her engagement is destroyed. She damaged it herself. But you? Brenda's voice soared. You could talk with Mark.
Explain that you didn't mean to embarrass him isn't really important. That you...
I pulled my arm free. My job isn't important. Her voice faltered. I didn't mean. Yes, Mom. You did. You meant it. Every time Chloe teased me and you laughed. Every time Richard labeled me a paper pusher, you nodded along. You meant it every single time. Richard stepped forward. You're upset. Let us all calm down. I am calm, I said, my voice steady. I am also done. I walked out. Sophia followed. The parking lot was silent, a cool May night. We reached my 12-year-old Honda Civic, paid off reliable. I checked my phone, clear 11 missed calls. Brenda 5 missed calls. Richard 4 missed calls. I banned all 3 numbers. Sophia leaned against the car. Well, that was something. Yeah, your sister did throw alcohol at you. She did. And your parents instructed you to clean up. They did. She stared at me, her eyes assessing. You okay? I thought about it. Yes. I guess I am. That Mark guy seemed decent after he realized who you were. He was, she agreed. Your family, though? She shook her head. There's something else. I started the car? Yes, they are. We drove back to Baltimore. I took off my uniform at my apartment. The alcohol had settled into the fabric, probably damaged. I showered until the water ran cold. Sophia had ordered takeout. We ate silently. You know what's coming next, right? She said finally. What? An apology that's not an apology, the justification with an apology filter. I nearly laughed. How do you know? Because I've seen families like yours in the ER. They show up after treating someone like trash. Act surprised when there are consequences. Then explain why it wasn't their fault. Every single time. She was correct. The next morning, I slept until noon, the first true rest I'd had in days. The messages began instantly. Day 1, Chloe called from multiple numbers. I didn't respond. She left voicemails, all variations on the same theme. I'd ruined her life. Mark's team was spreading rumors. His friends called her cruel. Her own friends had distanced themselves. It was all my fault. I deleted them without listening all the way through. Day 2, Richard arrived at my apartment at 7 a.m. I'd just gotten out of the shower. We need to talk, he said as I opened the door. No, we do not. Chloe is a disaster. The wedding is off. Her friends are turning against her. Mark's team is sharing stories. You could fix it. How? Tell them it was a misunderstanding. That your job isn't what Mark thought it was. I stared at him. Do you want me to lie about my service so Chloe looks better? I want you to aid your family.
I've been aiding my family for 11 years.
We covered your rent, paid Brenda's dental bills, and sent Chloe money for every emergency that turned into a shopping excursion. I am done. Leo, you gave Chloe $750 from the money I sent you for car repairs. His face turned crimson. I sent you money because you asked for aid. You turned around and gave it to her for her birthday party. That is theft. And when she flung wine at me last night, you laughed. Mom laughed. Neither of you protected me. Not once. Not ever. We didn't realize how vital your job was. You never asked. You just assumed that I was lying or exaggerating, and you allowed Chloe to mock me for over 3 years because it made her feel good. He didn't have a response. Leave, I said. And your mother. Leave. I closed the door. Day 3, Chief Warrant Officer Schmidt asked me to come to her office. I'd been on leave for 2 days. That alone sent a knot to my gut. Hayes, please sit. I sat. You're on leave and I'm still pulling you in. That should tell you how it looks from my seat. She studied me for a beat. When you told me you had a family event this weekend, you looked like you were headed into a quarrel. So, I'm asking once, are you okay? It was personal, Mom. I explained. My work will be unaffected. Personal matters can still bring you down, she remarked. Did anyone touch you? I paused. My sister hurled a drink at me in public while I was wearing a uniform. Schmidt's expression stiffened. Understood. You're one of the best targeters in this task force. She leaned forward. But Hayes, you have to understand something. You do not owe access to those who disrespect you, whether they're family or not. I am serious. This work is difficult enough. You don't need people criticizing you when you're not working. Your leave stands 12 days. Rest. To come back prepared to work. That is an order. That night, Sophia called. How are you holding up? Okay. The chief just handed me 12 days of forced leave. Good, you need it? Listen, I have some news. Yeah? Hopkins offered me a post. Trauma surgery track? better compensation, better hours, true professional advancement. My chest tightened. That is wonderful. Are you taking it? I am. And I'm getting closer to you. I found a place in Columbia, midway between Hopkins and Fort Meade. Yeah. Help me move in next week. Absolutely. We spent the following week relocating her belongings. She had one box designated Borders, with marker. What's inside it? I asked. Bubble wrap. Useful for protecting personal space. Her deadpan delivery almost had me laughing. On the 5th day of my leave, I was helping her put together a bookcase when my phone rang. Unknown number. Yeah, Leo Hayes. Who's asking? The male voice was older, gruff. It's your Uncle David, your father's brother. I hadn't spoken to Uncle David in about 7 years. He lived in Pennsylvania, showed up on key holidays, kept to himself. What's up, David? Just wanted to let you know your parents are telling everyone you had a breakdown, that you attacked Chloe at her engagement party, that you're unstable and they're concerned about you. My hand squeezed around the phone. They're saying what? Richard called me 2 days ago. Claimed you flipped out during the party to intentionally embarrass Chloe, and Mark left because you threatened him. Mentioned they're considering getting you a wellness check. Sophia glanced up from the shelf she was working on. What's wrong? I put my phone on speaker. Frankly, none of that is true. I assumed Richard had been covering for Chloe since she was 16. If something goes wrong, it's someone else's fault. Usually yours. He paused. What exactly happened? I told him the entire thing. The money, the mockery, the wine. Mark recognizing my unit membership and calling off the engagement. Silence on the other end. Then the little psycho flung wine at you? Yeah. Brenda and Richard laughed. Yeah. Jesus. David breathed forcefully. Listen, I can't stop them from telling stories, but I can make a few calls. Set the record straight with the family. If they try this wellness check nonsense, I'll shut it down. You do not deserve this. Thank you, David. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. Leo, you're a good kid. Always have been. Don't let them convince you differently. He hung up. Sophia looked at me. They're attempting to dominate the narrative. Yeah? Are you going to let them? I thought about it. No. She smiled. Good. Do you want me to assist you draft a message? We spent the next hour composing an email. Clean, professional, no emotion, only facts and boundaries. To Richard Hayes, Brenda Hayes, from Leo Hayes. Subject future bounds. I am writing to set clear expectations. I will not be attending any family activities. I won't be providing financial assistance. I will not be available for phone calls, texts, or in-person appointments. If you distribute inaccurate information about me, I will publicly rectify the record and provide verification. If you continue to contact me after receiving this warning, I will seek legal action, including restraining orders. This is not negotiable. This is not a transient situation. These are permanent limits established after years of disrespect and recent assault. Don't contact me again. Leo. I reread it 3 times. Sophia reread it twice. Send it, she said. I sent it. Brenda responded within an hour. A lengthy email, 3 paragraphs describing how I had misunderstood, how Chloe was only joking, how family forgives, and how I was being harsh and vindictive, breaking my mother's heart. Emily read it over my shoulder. That's not an apology, she explained. That is a justification using an apology filter. I deleted it without replying. The following few months were quiet. I returned to work, pouring myself into it, developing packages, tracking targets, doing the job. Sophia and I settled into a rhythm. She worked trauma shifts at Hopkins. I worked classified shifts at Fort Meade. We'd meet in the middle, make dinner, and talk about nothing and everything. My life had never felt more normal. In July, I was chosen for Staff Sergeant First Class. The pinning ceremony would occur later that year. Chief Warrant Officer Schmidt also suggested me for a post at USS Oaksam headquarters in Tampa, Special Operations Command, the type of posting that can launch a career. I accepted. Sophia was offered a trauma fellowship at Tampa General that same week. She accepted as well. Looks like we're moving to Florida, she said, a smile lighting her face. That does appear to be the case. We packed up her home in Columbia, moved south in September, found an apartment near MacDill Air Force Base, and began establishing a life. I hadn't heard from my family. No phone calls, no emails, nothing. Uncle David called once to check in. They're still telling people that you're unstable. Richard tried to persuade me that you needed help. I told him that Chloe needed help for attacking a military member. Thank you, Dave. Okay down there? Yes, very good. Work is challenging but rewarding. Sophia is thriving throughout her fellowship. We have friends, are routine and calm. Then, in November, 7 months after the engagement party, Chloe arrived at our apartment. I was heading home from a 14-hour shift when I saw her sitting on the stairs outside our building. She looked smaller than I remembered. With black circles under her eyes, she stood when she saw me. Leo, please. I need to talk to you. I paused. How did you get this address? Brenda handed it to me. Please, just 10 minutes. Leo, my life is falling apart. Mark won't speak to me. I can't date someone in the military. I lost my job. You need to leave. I apologize. I apologize for throwing wine on you. You were mocked. I didn't comprehend. You completely understood. You didn't care. I was jealous. I'm your sister. Family forgives. Family respects each other. You never did. The door behind me opened. Sophia stepped out, descended the steps, and stood next to me. Who is this? Chloe asked, her voice harsh. Sophia is my girlfriend. Chloe looked her up and down. You brought a stranger too? She is not a stranger. Yes, you are. Sophia didn't say anything, just stood there, solid and present. Chloe's face twisted. Fine. Be like that, but you'll come to regret this. Leo's family does not forget. We'll be here when you crawl back. Don't hold your breath. She departed, got into a beat-up car and drove away. Sophia watched her leave. She drove for over 5 hours to ambush you on the stairs. Apparently, that is not an apology. That is manipulation. I understand. We went in. I called Uncle David and told him what had happened. He exiled. I'll call Richard. Tell him that was inappropriate. But Leo, they aren't going to stop. They believe that if they push hard enough, you will break. I will not. I know you will not. I just wanted you to know what you're dealing with. Brenda followed up with a letter 12 days later, actual paper mail. 6 pages handwritten. How I had changed. How the military had turned me chilly. Chloe was struggling as a result of what I had let happen. I owed them loyalty. How I needed to apologize to my sister and make things right. The last sentence. You prefer to remain alone to that point. I hope it's worthwhile. I showed it to Sophia. They don't miss you, she explained. They lose access. I shredded the letter, but the visits continued. December brought Richard. He showed up at the MacDill gate, told the gate guard he was here to see his son. The guard called me. I told him I didn't know anyone by that name. Richard was escorted off base. He called from the parking lot. I didn't respond. He left a voicemail. Leo, I drove 8 hours. You cannot even speak to me for 10 minutes. This is ridiculous. You are acting like a child. Call me back. I blocked that number. In January, Chloe sent an email. Subject, please read this. 12 pages on counseling, jealousy, feeling inadequate, apologizing, and wanting to rebuild. The final line, I know I do not deserve forgiveness, but I am asking because that is what family does. Sophia read it over my shoulder. It's still all about her emotions. Nothing about what she really did to you. I did not respond. February marked 10 months since the engagement party. I was on track to become Staff Sergeant First Class. Schmidt informed me I was ahead of the curve for my year group. Sophia was finishing up a fellowship. I received offers from 3 hospitals. We were creating something good, and it didn't include folks who treated me as a backup plan. In March, I received a call from Uncle David. Leo, are you sitting down? What happened? Richard suffered a heart attack. He is in critical condition at Pennsylvania Avenue Medical Center. Brenda called and wanted me to tell you she wants you to return home. My chest tightened. How awful is it? Bad? They aren't convinced he'll make it. I sat down. Sophia appeared in the doorway with a puzzled expression. I'll call you back, David. I hung up. I told Sophia what occurred. Are you planning to go? She asked. I don't know. It's your father. He's not my father. He's the guy who gave Chloe my money and smiled as she flung alcohol at me. Sophia sat next to me. I am not going to tell you what to do, but I will tell you this. If you leave and he heals, they'll use it to show you still care, that you will return if they press the appropriate buttons. If you don't go and he dies, you'll question whether you should have. What would you do? She thought about it. I would go, not for them, but for myself. So I'd know I'd given them one final chance, and they'd either take it or not. However, I would set clear boundaries, and I would leave the moment they crossed them. I called Uncle David back. I'll come up, but I won't stay, and if they try anything, I'm leaving. Okay, fair enough. I'll meet you at the hospital. The flight to Pennsylvania lasted 5 hours. Sophia came with me. We rented a car and drove to the hospital silently. Uncle David greeted us in the lobby, looking older than I remembered. He's in the intensive care unit, stabilized, though it's touch and go. Brenda's up there. Chloe too. Great. He looked at Sophia. You must be the girlfriend. Sophia, a trauma nurse. Good, we might need you. He stepped into the elevator with us. Fair warning. Your parents are telling everyone that you abandoned the family. They're playing the victim hard. Of course they are. The ICU waiting room was small. Brenda sat, red-eyed, clutching tissues. Glenda's beside her. They both looked up as we walked in. Brenda's face flickered between shock relief and anger before landing on wounded. Leo, you arrived! How is he? Critical. We won't know if there's brain damage for 72 hours. Her voice cracked. He might not awaken. I nodded but didn't move closer. Chloe stood. Can't we speak privately? No. Leo, please, Dad is dying. Can you set aside whatever? Whatever. What? Was it the assault? What about the mockery? You stole the money, right? Her face flushed. I apologized? No. You emailed me about your feelings. That is not an apology. Brenda rose. Leo, now is not the time. When is the time to talk about how you allowed her to steal from me and laughed when she threw wine at me? How you told others I had a breakdown? We never. David told me everything. Brenda opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The doctor appeared. The Hayes family? His condition has stabilized. We're cautiously optimistic. There are no visitors, sagged with relief. Chloe cried. The doctor left. I turned towards the door. Brenda grabbed my arm. Where are you going? Hotel? You should stay in the house. We have room. I would rather sleep in my car. Brenda, please, your father is dying. He is stable. And this is no longer an emergency. You're attempting to utilize a crisis to force communication. That is not fair. I got my arm free. Here's what will happen. I will come back tomorrow. I will see Dad. If he wants to chat, I will listen. But I am not staying with you. And if you try to manipulate me again, I'll leave permanently. Chloe stepped forward. You are being cruel. Dad may die and you're... Say one more word and I'll walk out right now. She shut up. I left. Sophia followed. Uncle David caught up to us in the parking lot. That went as planned, he said. Thank you for the warning. My reward, the hotel room features 2 beds. You and Sophia can sleep there. We accepted. The next morning, Richard was awake, groggy and feeble, yet alert. The nurse allowed me in alone. He stared at me. Lo, Dad, you arrived. Yeah. A long pause. He appeared pallid, somewhat smaller. I apologize, he whispered. I should have stopped her. I should have defended. I did not. I was mistaken. Yes, you were? Will you forgive me? I thought about it. I don't know. You had 11 years to defend me and tell Chloe to stop. 11 years to regard me as more than a checkbook. You always chose her? He nodded, wet eyes fixed on me. I understand. Okay, here's the deal. If you recover, things will be different. I am not your backup plan. I'm not an ATM. If you desire a relationship, you must earn it. You establish boundaries with Chloe. You respect me. If you can't do it, we're finished. Okay. I mean it. I understand. I left. Brenda tried to stop me. I continued walking. Chloe waited outside. What exactly did he say? She demanded. That is between myself and him. I need to know. Chloe, you've abused me, stolen my money, and humiliated me for years without ever apologizing. You've talked about emotions, envy, and wanting forgiveness, but you've never admitted you were wrong. And there's nothing to talk about. Apologized. You made excuses. What do you want from me? Nothing. Leave me alone. We are family. Family does not treat each other the way you treated me. We are just connected. I walked away. She didn't follow. Sophia was waiting in the rental car. Dad apologized. Sort of. Chloe attempted to pry. I closed it down. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. We drove back to Tampa that afternoon. Richard healed slowly. He called once and inquired how I was. 10 minutes of small talk. No mention of Chloe, no guilt trips. Simply conversation. The first real one we'd had in years. Brenda sent a 1-page letter this time. I understand that we failed you. I'm not sure how to solve it, but I am proud of you. I am proud of your service. If you ever want to talk, I'm available. I retained the letter and did not react. Chloe never contacted me again. Uncle David called every few weeks to provide information on Richard and the rest of the family. He became the bridge I didn't realize I needed. Sophia and I were having supper in June, 14 months after the engagement party, when she said, So, I've been looking at houses. There's a place near MacDill. 4 bedrooms, enough for an office. I guess My chest warmed. Yeah, if you want. I pondered about the previous year, the tranquility, the firm limits. Sophia was solid, bright, devoted. I think we should look at properties. She smiled. Good. Saturday. We purchased the house in August, moved in September. Created something that wasn't bound together by obligation or guilt. For the first time in my life, I felt right at home. 7 months later, Mark sent me an email. Short and professional. Staff Sergeant Hayes, I just wanted to let you know that I was promoted to Senior Staff Sergeant First Class and have been assigned to a training duty at Benning. I share your tale with each new Ranger class. Not the classified parts, just the section about respect. About how real professionals don't gloat. They just get the job done. Thank you for your example. Stay safe, SSG Mark. I read it twice before going to locate Sophia in the backyard growing tomatoes. Mark emailed. I said, yes, what did he say? I told her. She brushed dirt off her hands. It sounds like he learned something. Yeah? Are you going to respond? I thought about it. No. He spoke everything he needed to say. She nodded and returned to planting. I watched her steadily construct something real. Some people will never acknowledge you for who you are, and that's fine. You don't need them to. All you need to do is finally see yourself. So I did. And that's my story. It's hard to cut ties, especially with family, but sometimes it's the only way to save yourself. If you've ever had to draw a hard line with people you care about, or even people you thought you cared about, I want to hear about it. What was your breaking point? And what did you gain when you finally put yourself first? Let me know in the comments below.